do battle. Sometimes it's like waking up, and even before the chance to take first breath, that reel is rolling, and there's already been a total recall on confidence, like eyes bulging in zero oxygen torment, cells fight in alarm for air, desperate to go on, but on Mars, in the spirit disturbed. This inner fire too dim and understoked to burn through the devastation of not feeling sane. Sometimes it's like avoiding glances in the reflection because it feels more appropriate to be unseen. Sometimes it's being so leaden and terrified and ashamed with all of the chatter, chatter, chatter that can't even peel eyes from off the pavement, off the shoes, step after step. Focus on the ground. Do not let yourself be a part of this beautiful world. Sometimes it's finding a way, somehow, to find something wrong, no matter what. Like a junkie for negative self-fulfilling prophecies, a grungy burnt-out oracle on a one-way street in a gridlocked Cyclops city, a gridlocked metropolis of mind caught in traffic, same streets, same directions, wearing tired tread into the cortex like a program called location, destination, GPS, failure, of course. Sometimes it's the nausea of being like self-beating, like, why do I keep being mean and nasty to the ones that love me, when at the same time heart like fire shouts, you don't really feel that way, mouth, shut yourself, please, and heavy stone in stomach stings, 'cause I do it anyway, yet get the acid hurt out and let it melt through something else, and I still don't sleep better after that. Sometimes it's like spirit smells like ginkgo berries, shit and puke, and all hidden medicine that must ferment first. Exhale. Puss face. Rub eyes, maybe roll over, probably shiver, definitely cry, not being able to grip a how or a why, interrogating why, why. Dim inner fire can't burn through the aggression of what sometimes feels like too much truth, because on the GPS no longer needed, it carries the torch, lights the way to the mounting evidence en route to the same place. Yet, one time, there was just enough space between the rolling of that reel and my complicit engagement with consuming this movie. I had the chance to see my little demon shove a stick of incense into the machinery to keep the story fragrant and appealing. I followed her through the corridors and labyrinth of my own unknown to a small, heavily decorated room. There were newspaper clippings adorning the walls with all of my transgressions, journals filled to the brim with all of my regrets, tick marks on the doorway of all of the shortcomings of character, and a chart mapping the ongoing language for the program, destination, failure. Of course, she rifled heavily through a drawer, and when she turned around, I was met with a terror. Her little pigtails and empty, hungry eyes, her sharp teeth and vicious little tongue. I knew she was the me I left behind so long ago, angry and hurt. And in that maze of the unconscious, she devolved and grew, and I knew it was her voice all along. Too nauseous to confront her, I collapsed on the floor, trembling, all of the walls closing in, breathing heavy. She approached, and it took all within me, still burning not to recoil, and she handed me a paper from a fortune cookie. Unraveling it, it read, You should do battle and face me. And she took off again. Sometimes now, doing battle, I fetch her to collect firewood. The mind is a sanctuary, the heart is a home, and she spends a lot of time away from her little room and research looking for truth in those statements and feeds the morning fire, scouting. Sometimes she throws a log on of a dead passion I had become too corrupt to pursue. Sometimes she throws in her newspaper clippings as kindling when wood is scarce. Sometimes she writes a glitch into the program and I see a new street to take that forces my eyes to come up from the cement, and sometimes she adds a depth to the sadness that is deep and vulnerable, and I cry and call for her. Sometimes I hug her, sometimes I play with her hair, sometimes I leave a joke that only she will understand, and her little cackle comes out of me sometimes, a distant tinkle, a small remembered joy and peevishness that is really endearing, and I realize how much I miss her. Sometimes I look in the mirror now and see the light that used to be in her eyes, and I have to give it back to her, leave it by the reel she rolls that still plays a little votive candle flickering for her, inviting her to remember. She wears her hair down now, and though it is a bit unruly, she sleeps in more and eats the softer foods my spirit has to offer. There's an ice sculpture that was some ways away from my dim inner fire, and she's built the fire big enough now that it's starting to sweat into a bowl to drink. So much ice, yet she knows that she is necessary for this particular kind of climate change, and she's also studying a new programming language these days, and she tells me she wants to write a new one now called Of Course You Are Capable of Love.